In this episode, I share an overview of my upcoming career course, and it's titled 10 Steps to Prepare for a Successful Job Interview. And this is a follow-up to a workshop that I hosted a month or two ago that was all about the job search. So this is the next phase. So you've already landed an interview, and now it's time to get ready. So I'm going to try to walk through each of these steps for you. I'm Larry Cornett, and this is Invincible Career. As always, you can go to newsletter.invinciblecareer.com and find the information that I share in these podcast episodes and links to any of the documents, past newsletters, and various resources that I like to share. So I want to provide a little bit of a sneak peek into this upcoming job interview course. And this is a change from what I was doing earlier this year. So I was hosting workshops. And while I enjoy doing that, I've realized that it makes it really hard for everyone to attend that can't make it during that time. And that doesn't work so well if you don't live in the time zone. So I know I had folks that wanted to attend that were in other locations around the world and said, yeah, I can't really make it to the workshop if it's 3 a.m. where I live. And then also more people want to be able to access the information after the workshop and things like that. So I am transforming the workshop materials into an online course that you'll be able to take with access to the material. I'm going to record videos and have this audio and things like that. And this one's all about the job interview. So the 10 steps that I'm going to be covering during the course. Number one, researching your target employer. So identify that target employer and then do your research to be prepared. And this is a big thing I talked about in the previous workshop, is that you shouldn't be trying to apply to hundreds or thousands of potential employers. You should pick a few and go deep on them. Number two, identify their biggest problems. There's a reason that an employer is hiring. So what are they dealing with? How can you help? Number three, map your expertise. So this is all about how you can help solve those problems. Number four, tuning your resume, your LinkedIn, your social media bios, things like that. Number five, finding your inside champions and connections. Number six, preparing and rehearsing to be ready for the interview. Number seven is setting the stage. So this is getting ready for the actual interview, whether it's going to be in person or it's going to be remote, through Teams or Zoom or whatever they use. 8 is the actual interview. So how to crush your job interview with individuals, or if it's going to be a team interview, presentations, things like that. Number 9, following up after the interview. And then 10, very important step that many forget, maintaining relationships with these people. By the way, I made a note of this in the newsletter. If you go to newsletter.invinciblecareer.com, this is a preview of my upcoming Invincible Job Interview course, issue number 567. And I've included a link. So I know sometimes courses and workshops are not enough. You need some one-on-one coaching, and I do a lot of that with folks. I typically do a package of 4 one-hour sessions to help folks prepare for a job interview and practice, get their materials ready, figure out all the questions that they could potentially be asked and get answers ready, you name it. And I included a link where you can schedule time with me and you can get a package of calls. If you are going to be doing a job interview and you want some help, that's the way to do it. And if you know someone who will be, a lot of people are looking for jobs right now. There are a lot of people got laid off in the last 2 to 3 years, like several thousand people. And if you know someone that's looking for a job and struggling with the job search and job interview process, share this with them. It can hopefully be a little bit helpful. So let me go ahead and pull up the information for this. Here we go. So I typically, for the workshops, included a homework document. It was fairly extensive and long, but it really was meant to be a living document that people could use before the workshop to go through the questions, think about their answers, capture some information, and be ready to get the most out of it. So this is very similar. It's going to be a workbook that's available during the course. So it's going to help you prepare with your job interview efforts. Go through all this information, capture stuff, do your homework. Some stuff maybe you already know, maybe some stuff you've forgotten, maybe some stuff you haven't even thought about. So let's go ahead and dive into step 1, research your target employer. So you are, if you want to do this well, on a fact-finding mission that you're trying to learn as much as you possibly can about the company, about the leadership team, about the products and services that company sells, who your boss will be, who do you think your direct manager will be, who are your colleagues going to be, you name it. So you're doing a lot of research to be prepared for this interview. And so find everything you can about the company, its history, their vision, mission, and culture. This is all really important. Some of this information, you may uncover stuff that you're like, I don't even know if I want to work at this company. That's possible. Maybe as you dig deep, you discover some stuff about their culture or about what they do, and you're like, I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if this is the right company for me. Better to find out now than later. But this will all help you prepare for your interview. And then researching all the products, the services, whatever they are, selling to the customers and clients so that you are aware of it, you understand it, you can speak intelligently about it, you have some thoughts about it, Find out everything you can about the company's target customers. Who do they serve? Are they selling directly to consumer? Are they selling to other businesses? Is it an enterprise company? What kind of a company is this, and who are the people that are buying its products and services? And what do you know about them? What do you know about these people? What they need, what their problems are, how this company's products or services solves these problems for them. Check out their social media accounts. So you can find the social media accounts for the company. You can probably find some of the social media accounts for the people, all those folks that are going to be on that interview team. So find the social media account for your potential boss, for the colleagues, for the leadership team. Check them out. Find out what you can about how they think, what they think is important, what they share. This is going to help you. The more you know about them and how they think, the better you're going to be able to answer their questions. Check out the latest corporate news and their white papers and things that they published. And again, you can probably find a lot of this on the corporate website. There's usually a media PR place on the website where you can see their corporate news. You can learn about their annual and quarterly reports. What's going on? How much money are they making? Where are they spending money? What's their biggest product? What makes the most money for the company? And that's important. You know why that's important? I can tell you. When you work on a flagship product within a company that is the big money maker, you are less likely to get laid off. I've talked about this before. This is all very strategic, thinking about this stuff. Because if you work on something that's not that important, that doesn't make much money, that is a risky place to be. What do you know about the board, the investors? Who are these people? Do you like these people? Do they have a good background or do they have a questionable background? Or are they the kind of investors that let the people in the company make decisions about what they're doing strategically, or do they fiddle and mess around with the stuff a lot? You can find out. Learning more about the senior leadership team. So going all the way up to VP, SVP, the C-level staff. Where'd they come from? Where'd they go to school? What do they care about? What are their philosophies around management, leadership, products, customer experience? Find out everything you can about your potential future boss. Super important. Does this look like a person that you would want to work for? What do they believe in? What do they think is important? Where do they come from? What's their background? That'll tell you a lot about what they're going to ask you, what they're going to expect from you, what they're going to think about your background. Let me tell you, it makes a huge difference to know what you're getting into when you talk with these people. And do the same thing with your potential coworkers. They might be a little more willing to share more information online than the people who are more senior. Senior people and executives are pretty buttoned up, and PR people monitor their accounts. But the more junior people might be pretty open and honest about how they feel about the company. If they love it, they don't like it. Good to know. You should also research the company's competitors, the industry, what's happening in the competitive landscape, and put together some of your thoughts. What are some of your thoughts around the trends, the opportunities, the potential threats to the company, where you think things are going? And then use their products, use their services. It's pretty easy to do if they are available online, or if they have a physical retail location. You can go in and check it out. You can learn a lot about it from the perspective of a customer. I've done that. I used to do a lot of consulting back in the day. Got involved for the very first time with PDA, personal digital assistants. I didn't have one. I'd never had one. I hadn't purchased one. The Palm Pilot was the big thing back then. They were not cheap. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to try to get this gig, I got to know what I'm talking about. So I bought a Palm Pilot. I became familiar with it. I read all about it. I got a book on how you design and program it, so that I could get in there and do a great interview. And I did. I got hired for the gig. I've signed up for paid services. That way I know exactly what I'm talking about instead of just being confused and not really understanding their products and services. And it's not a huge investment if you land the job, right? And if it doesn't work out, hey, sell it. Cancel your subscription, whatever it is. Sometimes there is stuff that you can't reasonably buy or try. That happens, right? I'm not going to go out and buy a bulldozer if I'm going to be doing research with a big construction company. But you can find customers who have experience with it, look for online reviews, find out what they think about the product, all this information. And then do your research about the company's interview process, about their roles and levels, about their typical compensation. There's so much online now. If you go to levels.fyi, you check out Glassdoor, you go on Reddit, go to Indeed, you can see what employees are saying about the company and its culture, right? So that was step one. Step two is identifying their biggest problems. So there is a reason your target employer is hiring for this position, the position for which you are interviewing. They need someone in that role to solve a problem, to provide value, to meet a need. Why are they hiring? It's also important to figure out, is this a new position? They're growing, or are they replacing somebody that quit? Are they replacing somebody they fired? I've been in that situation. Let me tell you, it's super useful to talk to the person that quit. Very valuable to talk to somebody who got fired and find out why they got fired. And you'd be surprised to find people who will talk with you about it and be honest with you about it. Really let you know what you're getting into, right? So your goal is to learn as much about all of this as you can to position yourself as the ideal solution to their problems. You want to be the ideal candidate, a dream candidate. So find out the biggest problems your target employer is facing. For example, are they facing supply issues? Do they have growth problems? Do they have a revenue issue? Do they have really strong competitors that are causing issues for them? Do they have outdated technology? Is their design considered to be uninspiring? What is it? What are they facing? And think about how you are the ideal solution to help with that. Then read industry reviews and opinion pieces. Also very helpful. These are people who've done your homework for you in some sense. So what do they say about your target employer's risks, issues, threats, problems, all that kind of stuff? I found that super helpful because they would do a compare and contrast between that company and another company, a competitor, and say, well, this company is really strong in these areas, but they're kind of weak in this area. And this other company's strong in this area, and they're a threat to that first company in this area. Wow. That's fantastic. Now you can have a really intelligent conversation when you go to interview. And then what are experts and analysts saying about the company? So it's a little bit different than these industry pieces, right? The experts and the analysts are talking more about the financials of the company and the strategy and its growth, how it's positioned for the future, how it compares to the competition. So similar, but slightly different. And then again, what do experts and reviewers say about the company's products or services. So it's a layer deeper. Are there people who've reviewed the products? Are there people who've reviewed the services and talked about what's good, what's not so good? I like to review interviews with the CEO and other senior leaders. And it's fantastic if you can find video. That is amazing. Sometimes you can only find written stuff that's been published, but you can sometimes find video. If they were speaking at an event or they're meeting with a reporter, I mean, I've been able to find stuff like that. So what are they saying? What worries them? What keeps them up at night? What's their big vision? What are they excited about? And I mentioned the press releases. So white papers and media stuff, read the press releases on the corporate website and try to read between the lines. Try to get a sense of what are they focusing on? What do they think is the future? What does it seem like their strategy is? What do they seem worried about? Scan the open job descriptions. So go to the company's career page and look at all the open positions, which will also tell you a lot about what the company values. What are the trends in who they are hiring? Are they hiring hundreds of engineers and only 2 designers? Right? That could tell you a lot about where the company focuses, where they invest, what they think is important. Look at the level of people they're hiring. Are they hiring a bunch of junior people? Are they hiring senior people? Are they hiring executives? And you can look at some of the specifics, and that will reveal stuff because companies hire to fulfill their roadmap, to help support their strategy, their future plans. I mean, I saw a lot of this when I was at a company where they wanted to hire people that had Unix experience, and that told a lot about what they were getting ready to do, right? And then what do people say about the company and its products on social media? How are people talking about it? Glassdoor, LinkedIn, you name it. You can find a lot of this information. Step 3 is now it's time to map your talents, your skills, your knowledge, your experience, work experience, personal experience to your target employer's problems and needs. So I have a kind of a visual for this in the document that I'm going to have for people. And it's got a couple of columns. So it's got one column where you make a list of all the needs you've identified, the problems you discovered, each of the job requirements. So go through them line by line, each of the job responsibilities line by line, because they want to hire for that. So capture all that in column 1. And then in column 2, it's how you meet this. How do you solve that problem? How do you meet that need? What have you done in your background that shows you can do that? So pull something up from your talent, from your work experiences, the skills that you have, the knowledge you've acquired from work or from school, whatever it might be. And the same with each of the job requirements and job responsibilities. So can you meet that requirement? How? Prove it. Can you do that responsibility? Prove it. Have the information. And if there's a gap, now is the time. Now is the time to say, I really don't have that. They want 5 years of experience. I've only got 2. Well, you can't lie about it and you can't hide it. So get ready to talk about it. Find a way to answer that. If it comes up during the interview, be ready and say, I know I don't have exactly the experience, but let me explain why I'm still an ideal candidate for you. Let me tell you why that's not going to be a problem, right? Or if it's something that you don't know how to do, deal with it. Deal with it. I had that happen. I was going to interview for a job, working for a company that was building some hardware, and I'd never worked on hardware before. It was the storage subsystems, and I knew nothing about RAID. It's like RAID 1, 2, 3, 5, all that kind of stuff, and how that was used to do failover and to mirror disk. I don't want to get into all the geeky stuff, but anyway, I knew nothing about it. Well, I spent a weekend learning everything I could about it. I played with all the software I could get my hands on that showed me how to format a server to set up the different RAID levels. I learned so much over the weekend that when I came in to interview, I could talk about it and be like, yeah, I'm familiar with that. I know what RAID 5 is. I know what RAID 1 is, why you'd want to mirror versus have redundant failover, all that kind of stuff. Performance versus reliability, all that. Anyway, yeah, do that. Get ready. Be prepared. Sometimes you can close the gap. I tell people start writing your hero stories. These are the stories from your past that show something that you're most proud of in terms of a challenge that you overcame or how you collaborated really well with a team, something you accomplished, some big win you have. Everybody has these. And you can capture all the details for these 3 to 5 hero stories. And then you can use these as a rich well to draw from when people start asking you those behavioral questions or the informational questions. Do you have experience with this? And you can be like, yeah, let me tell you about a time that I worked on that. Or if someone says, tell me about a time. Tell me about a time that you struggled to collaborate with a coworker. And what'd you do about it? How did you solve that problem? If you think about this, you can dive right into that hero story. Yep, there was a project at this company where I just was not getting along with the lead engineer on the project, and it was causing problems. But here's how I solved that problem. So yeah, get ready for that. And then step 4, tune your resume and LinkedIn, and probably your social media too. So now that you know exactly the company you're interviewing with and exactly the problems they're facing and what their needs are and how you are going to be the ideal candidate, you've mapped yourself to it, right? You can update your resume and your LinkedIn to be in tune with that so that when they say, hey, you said you're really good at this, and your resume says, yep, there's the proof point. There's a big win I had at this company where I increased purchases by 35%, on our shopping page or whatever it might be, right? So you're going to update your resume. You're going to have that elevator pitch summary at the top that explains in like 2 to 3 sentences who you are, what you do, why you're so great. And it's going to be worded in such a way that you sound like the perfect candidate for them. Keep things clean, scannable bullets. Don't have these long sentences. You're not supposed to have big old grammatically correct sentences. Focus on your value that you delivered in the quantitative accomplishments, those achievements. People love numbers. Show dollars, show percentage increases. People love numbers. Include, the skills and the achievements that map to the requirements, because you can't include a laundry list of everything. And you're not trying to win them over with something that is completely irrelevant for this company, right? So if you have a big win or a skill or achievement that doesn't actually map at all to what they need, you don't necessarily have to include it. And put the best stuff to the top and left. That's how people scan. And then synchronize your LinkedIn profile. So you're going to want to synchronize it as much as possible. Now, unlike a resume, you can't have a unique LinkedIn profile that maps to every single employer you're going to be talking to. You can create a resume for every single interview, right? You can't do that with your LinkedIn. But you want to focus on how you're positioning yourself. You want to have those hero stories. Obviously, keep showing stuff in terms of accomplishments and achievements, and keep it clean, keep it scannable. Put the best stuff at the top and the left. Yeah, it's kind of similar. Update your online portfolio. Like if you have a design portfolio, or if you're an engineer, you can update your GitHub. You can tune those details to highlight the work that maps best to this employer, to this job description, right? Update your social media. So you have to tune your bio to show that you are what they are seeking. What do I mean by that? So, for example, if you are interviewing for a management role, do not have a bio that reads like you're an individual contributor. And it's subtle and it's important. The language that shows I am management. I am not an IC. I'm not an individual contributor. Sometimes people forget to update their bios, and they're going to check it. It's easy to check. There's tools that make it super easy to scan the post, to do sentiment analysis, to look for specific words. They can find all this information that generates a report for them. And so if you haven't updated it and they're like, this person doesn't seem like they're a manager, they don't talk about anything that a manager would talk about. I think they're a lower level designer or a lower level engineer, whatever it might be. Tune your social media. Step 5, I talk about this so much, but very few people do it. Find your inside champions and connections, right? Find those people within the company that can be your connections, that can be influencers, that could influence the hiring decision, that can be your champion. Somebody's going to carry you through the process. And I talked about this in the previous workshop that I did, the job search workshop, why it was so important to find those people. Because you've probably discovered this. If you've been in the job search market before, or you are currently, you've probably sent your resume in. You've probably done an online job application and heard nothing. I know people who've applied to hundreds of jobs and not received a single acknowledgement. They didn't get a single interview. Well, when you have this champion, they can take your resume and put it right in the hand of the hiring manager. Super important. So you're not trying to walk through the front door like everybody else and competing with that long line of hundreds or thousands of job applicants, because it is a bad job market. It is not an employee-friendly job market. So you need somebody. You need a champion. You need insiders who are going to bring you past that line and say, hey, this person's actually fantastic. I know maybe they don't have all the experience you're looking for, but I've worked with them before, or I know this person. You're going to be happy you hired them. Makes a huge difference. Every job I've ever had, and I've talked about this a million times, every job I've ever had, an inside champion helped bring me inside. So you're going to want to create a list of all the people you know inside this target company, your inside connections. And if you don't have any connections, start working your network to get people who know people. Happens all the time. Friend of a friend of a friend. And they're going to say, hey, can you introduce me to this person? Can we have a conversation? I want to learn more about the company, why it's so great to work there, what's important to you people, what is important for this role. Hey, could you make an intro to the hiring manager for me, right? So the connections, the influencers, these are people who have enough power to make a difference. They can actually help influence the hiring decision. So it's not just connecting you. They're actually going to probably be in the room when they're talking about you. Should we interview this person? Should we hire this person? They're going to be talking with recruiters. They're going to be talking with a hiring manager. They're going to help sell you for the role. And the champion is even beyond that. Champion goes one step further. They are going to be the person who makes the intro to the hiring manager. They help coach you through the interview process. They want you to win. They want you to succeed. They don't want to look bad if they're going to be the person recommending you. So they're going to help coach you. They're going to make sure that the inside team doesn't drop the ball. And that happens. They're going to check and say, hey, have you scheduled an interview with this person yet? When is it? What's happening next? It'd be great if the hiring manager is the actual champion. I've had that happen, and that's fantastic. They want to hire you, so they're guiding you through the process. They're trying to make sure you do well. They want you to impress everyone. It's kind of a sanity check. So it is super important. And I'm kind of out of time. So yeah, the rest of the course is going to include how to prepare your materials, your elevator pitch, your introduction, to get ready for those questions. I have a list of anywhere between 60 to 80 interview questions that people should expect to be asked, and people can prepare answers for those and get ready for it. They may have to do a presentation. You may have to present to a group. So getting that ready, getting stronger with your presentation skills, et cetera, et cetera. Setting the stage, figuring out who the interview team is, getting your interview materials ready, getting backup copies ready, getting enough rest, how to boost your confidence before the interview, right? Right before the interview even starts. Prepping for remote interviews, which are extremely common now. And then the actual day of the interview, when that's going to happen, how to be prepared, how to set up early, again, quick confidence boosting. Really important stuff about maintaining your power through the process, getting that power dynamic right, how to ask questions, how to answer questions, ending strongly, all that kind of stuff. And then the follow-up, right? Making sure you follow up with folks and let them know that you appreciate their time, that you're still interested, that you're excited about the next steps. And then the last thing is about maintaining relationships. And so that's important too. That's important too. It's a small industry. We all stay connected. And this is a good opportunity to add people to your network that are good people. You're going to meet some good people. Maybe not everyone you meet is going to be amazing. You may not want to connect with everyone, but there'll probably be some people, right? And so people go to other companies too. Never burn a bridge, right? Set up that relationship and maintain it. So that's it. I'm out of time, but Stay tuned. I'll be announcing when the course is ready and where you can go check it out. And if you're interested, if you got a job interview coming up, this would be a good course for you to take and get you ready so that you can nail it. Until next time, I wish you the best of luck in becoming an opportunity magnet for the best things in life.